Welcome back. This is the fourth part of my series of videos about the perfect way to set up your QNAP NAS. Today I want to talk about USB backups. I know it seems incredibly mediocre, but there's no denying it that as good as the NAS is, and as much as all of you are just backing up loads of devices to the NAS, if you start deleting files from your device, your phone, your laptop, your whatever, that NAS is no longer a backup and ends up just being a data storage area with unique files on it. That's not a backup. So if you are going to be backing up your phone, backing up your laptop, anything to the NAS, and then making space and deleting those files off your laptop, your phone, your whatever, you need a means to back up that NAS onto something else, a two-story backup. I went to a live show last year for a Synology, and they were using an old army proverb. Two is one, one is none. In other words, have a backup for your backup. And one of the easiest ways to back up your NAS is with USB. You can use network backup with something called real-time remote replication, and you can back up onto other NAS devices and internet cloud services. But the most user-friendly fashion is USB, having a USB drive, external big drive, or a little flash disk connected to the NAS and backing up the NAS automatically onto that USB if you've got space. You can back up individual files, folders, whole volume, the entire NAS if you've got space, but also vice versa. If you have a regular USB that you use all the time, you can get back from school, college, photo shoot, whatever, connect the USB drive and it will suck the contents of that USB onto the NAS, and then you can pull the USB out and then use it tomorrow, the day after, and more. And you can have different versions of USB backup. Ones where it's just an incremental backup, where it creates one copy and then adds the files that change over time, therefore I'm not back up the whole USB every time. You can do versions where it backs up the entire USB every time into a brand new folder directory, or you can back up them as mirrors. So if you delete files from the USB, it deletes it from the NAS. But what you end up with is two perfect in-sync USB copies. But without further ado, let's talk about how you do this on a QNAP NAS. So let's make our way to QTS's user interface now. Right, so here we are back on the desktop interface of our QTS NAS. Once again, we are using QTS 4.1.1, but that won't make a vast amount of difference regardless of which version you are using for today's video about USB backups. So first and foremost, USB backups have got a number of uses. I already mentioned in the description at the top of the video that USB backups work both ways. You either want to back up the content of an external drive that you use for college, school, on photo shoots or more onto the device as easy as possible, or vice versa, you want to back up either the entire volume on your NAS or just individual files and folders to an external drive that you can then take away with you for safety off-site. So the tool we're going to need to do this today is called Hybrid Backup Sync. This tool here from QNAP pretty much handles all of the operations that we need to do in this video. Now, you don't even have to open it first time from here. When it does open for the first time, and do forgive the delay because my rendering software is going to slow things down ever so slightly, there'll be a slight delay there. Hybrid Backup Sync doesn't have to be opened by you manually every time. There's lots of ways in which you can conduct these backups. So I've got a bunch of files and folders on this NAS, as you can see here from File Station. If we open it up here, we can see that from here we've got loads of files and folders, lots of shared volumes, and some of that data is essential and some of it isn't. When you first open Hybrid Backup Sync, it will ask you what kind of synchronization you want to do, and I do recommend you check out my videos to do with rsync and RTRR, real-time remote replication, and these let you back up the content of your NAS to another NAS on the network or over the internet. So if we connect a USB drive here into the rear of our NAS while I'm talking, down here we've got an external backup option, but I'm not going to click that. What we'll do is we'll let the NAS recognize that an external drive has been connected. Normally this can take upwards of 30 seconds. And when this is done, the QNAP will then action an inquiry regarding that USB drive. Again, you don't have to wait for the semi-autonomous version, because what it can do is say to you, we've noticed an external drive, what would you like to do with it? It seems to be taking longer than anticipated, and I do think that is my GPU software not refreshing this browser enough. But here we are, finally. It's noticed that a USB drive has been connected. It's now asking us what we want to do. Obviously the top one is to navigate files and folders. The third one is to change the settings on the device to see, with the QNAP NAS, to see if we want to do that, as well as change administrative access to the USB to ensure that only one person on this NAS can access this USB drive, even if lots of people have accounts. But today we want to look at the backup option. So if we click the backup option, down here, what we've got now is it's found the drive. It's an old Sony USB stick. It's only 8 gig, and it's asking us that we want to back up from the local disk drive to the NAS, so the NAS to the external storage, or the external storage to the NAS. For now, we're going to back up the content of the USB to the NAS. So what we need to do is click external storage to local disk. When that's done, we click next. We click one of the source folders on our USB, so something basic here. We've got lots of stuff that I was using earlier on and making. So we've got a folder here, NAS and RAID is not a backup. We'll use that folder, shall we? And we'll use the destination folder on the NAS, and this will find folders on our NAS, and we'll use our hard drive share folder from the speed test video, and we'll use that one. We click add, then we click next. From here, we can change it when we want this backup to take place. We can have a real-time synchronization, and again, with a real-time synchronization, it will remove all the files and create duplicate synchronized mirror copies of these two folders, one on the NAS, one on the USB. Alternatively, you can do a scheduled backup, which I would recommend, and also it will of course safely disconnect the USB at the end of the job. Again, lots of different things we can do here, and you can set it up so it's an auto backup, so as soon as the USB drive is connected, it will immediately begin the backup, or you can set it up that it's periodic. So if you're going to have the external drive connected on a semi-regular basis each day, you can connect the drive at that given time to make sure that it backs up when you need it. You can also have versioned backups, which will allow you to create multiple backups over time, and that means if there's any change in the files, you can revert to an old version. So say we go for a real-time backup this time. We'll select real-time, and from there we'll let our GPU stop playing the game. The thing is, my card doesn't seem to want to let us do that. I think we're going to have to do a scheduled backup just because it wants to be annoying. And the scheduled backup is letting us know that we want the job to be called. We click next, and there you go. It's being done, and that means the configuration for our USB backup is complete. Now the steps for doing it the other way around are identical. The only difference between backing up with our setup here and backing up the NAS to the USB is just that first choice. As you can see, the backup is now complete. We can run the backup if we want, or alternatively we can edit the parameters of our backup on here. Now we can do multiple backups if we so choose. We can change the destinations, we can change all of those settings, as well as add a filter to remove certain kinds of files if they're too big or too old or irrelevant to our backup. Finally, we've got USB One Touch Copy. Now I talk about this on videos a lot. I love NASes that have this. I use USB backups a lot because, once again, NAS isn't a backup if the files that are on it are the only ones that exist. You've got to have a two-stage backup, and from here what you can do is set it up so if you've got a NAS with a One Touch Copy button, connect the USB drive, click the button, and then this just dedicates what that button does, whether it backs up the contents to the NAS to the USB, or how and when it does it to action your custom-made behavior of backup. But that has been USB backups on a QNAP NAS. On our next video, we're going to be talking about surveillance using QVR Pro and Surveillance Station. Don't forget to check that out, as well as click like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Cheerio.